It was approximately 1 year ago that I had an accidental Instagram detox. If you hadn't heard anything about that, go back to episode 108 because it was 1 year ago that this happened and my life has been changed by slowly over time unplugging from social media. And I've evolved even further past that point the past couple of months, being really intentional about weekly breaks as well as a full week off of any social media when I was on vacation the other week. So I'm diving in today about my honest thoughts right now on social media, my own approach to it, my own thoughts around it, my heart behind it as I continue to serve you as a listener of this podcast, and what I truly think would be most beneficial, and this again is my opinion, but what I think is most beneficial for moms as we navigate this balance of motherhood, life, our own callings in our life, and just serving those around us, tangibly around us, as best we can. So let's get into this potentially controversial topic.
Hey mama, welcome to the Tough Love Mom Podcast. I know you're here because you're ready to get consistent and finally lose that weight, and you're not afraid of a little tough love. You know what to do to lose weight, but following through on those things feels impossible. You wish you could just feel like your strong, confident self again and want to be a good example for your little ones, but you get thrown off by mom guilt and the unpredictability of motherhood. It's frustrating. Taking on your journey postpartum is hard, but it's not impossible. Hey, I'm Liz, and I've been where you are. I gained a lot of weight in my pregnancies. 90 pounds and then 60 pounds. I needed to lose that weight to take control of my health and honestly just wanted to feel like myself again. With a sustainable approach to weight loss, simple consistency, and working on my mindset, I lost it all in just over a year both times, and I'm here to help you do the same. I believe that we have an ingrained ability to figure out what we need to do, make it happen, and do it in a way that awes the world. If you're ready to stop falling off the wagon, create solid routine and healthy habits, and finally feel your best inside and out, all while enjoying dino nuggets on your salad, you are in the right place. We're about to transform your journey, my friend. Get pumped up. It is tough love time.
As you know, I referenced episode 108 that came out in September, and it was about 6 months after my accidental Instagram detox. We went on a week-long vacation to Outer Banks in April of 2022. I did not post for a whole week on my feed, and that was the first time in literally 5 years that I hadn't done that, because for a long time I grew my business focused solely on social media, using that as like my platform, my way to serve people. And after starting the podcast at the end of 2021, I said, I really need to start pivoting away from this because it's not sustainable for me just as like a human being. It's also not sustainable as a business practice. And long form content, this podcast serves you so much better. I go way more into all that in episode 108. So again, I'm linking it in the show notes for you. But that initial realization of that week, so many other moments since when I initially launched Starting Point School, not a single sign up came from people on social media. It was all podcast listeners. So obviously there's such a better way to serve on this platform with this mic sitting in front of me after my kids have just gone to bed. I'm sitting here recording this now. It's like almost 8 p.m. They're asleep downstairs. My husband's still, at work today, and I can sit here and serve you and do this in a way that fits into my life. But, I'm also not logging onto this app that literally is there to keep me there. I won't even get on that soapbox. But my heart and intention initially behind getting off of that app was because I felt like I was on a hamster wheel. With content creation, I knew it wasn't making a long-lasting impact, which is a big reason why I started this podcast. Now, the funny part about all this is you listening to this podcast will probably be least affected by my distancing from social media over the past year. But what I've realized, because since December, since the end of the year, I've really challenged myself to, on a weekly basis, completely unplug from social media for a day. Actually take a true Sabbath from work in general, from anything work related, anything podcast related. Anything that feels like work within my home, like dishes, laundry, stuff like that, I do not do on the day that I Sabbath. You can also call it a rest. But basically, it's a day where you rest from working. And I also add into that day not showing up on social media. And so when we went on our vacation to Outer Banks again this year, I was like, I am going to, and I was kind of hesitant to do this probably because it had been so many years of me just consistently showing up. And like I've said before, I love being on stories. I love sharing that side of my life with you. But I had gotten to the point where I realized I was doing it just because I had always done it. And what is the point of that? Anytime I realize I'm doing something in my life because I think I'm just supposed to keep doing it, I do this crazy zone in and attack and figure out what is like the root reason that I'm actually doing this. Because if it's not serving a purpose in my life or for my family or for the people I'm called to serve, why am I doing it still? Like why am I wasting my time doing this thing? And I kind of had that realization about social media before we went back to Outer Banks. And I was like, what is the point of me continuing to show up on this app on a week I should be fully resting and fully present with the people around me? And why do I do it anyways? Like I truly couldn't. It's because I had always been doing it. So I took a full week off I took the app off of my phone completely. And that week, and I truly have barely even stepped back into posting on social media, even on my stories at the rate I was prior to that week. I'll do it like maybe every couple days. But that combined with the perspective I've gained from taking a weekly rest, literally every like 6 to 7 days, I take a full rest from social media and from working, has given me a super fresh insight and perspective. And on top of that, like one more layer to add to that, our text list, where you get weekly encouragement and tough love from me personally, literally straight to your text messages. And that's all it is. Like I might a couple times a year let you know about Starting Point School, but it is genuinely there to serve you on a weekly basis, to give you some tough love and encourage you and spur you on. That's why I have it. That's what you get from it. You literally will hear about Starting Point School maybe like 3 or 4 times a year. That's it. But otherwise, I hear from moms when I send those texts out every single week. Every once in a while will hear back from my mom being like, I'm so glad that you have this option to just encourage me here because I got off of social media. And that in itself was also validation of why am I still showing up on this app as much as I was? And this insight and perspective that I personally have gained, but I also know other moms experience, is being on these apps constantly, no matter how much you don't think it does impact your thoughts and your heart and your motivations and how you compare yourself to others. And you truly don't even know the level it's doing that to you until you step away from it. You truly do not know the level something is impacting you or has control over you until you can remove it from your life for a season and more than just a day, to be honest, and truly evaluate, how do I feel without this? What do I do instead when I don't have this as an option in my life to log on to and mindlessly scroll? I mean, it is so impactful when you realize what you have without it and what you're missing out on. And I know you might be hearing this from multiple different people on multiple different podcasts or friends in your life or family members, or maybe your husband's like, you gotta stop scrolling, you scroll too much. Maybe I'm the one you need to hear it from. It's the final straw, right? That you finally clicks. Or maybe I'm like one in a line of 50 more people you're gonna hear about this from. But I do, think there's this movement of people, especially in our generation, younger moms, kids, a little bit elementary school and younger, realizing, why am I on here? What is the point of just kind of reevaluating everything? Because it truly does have control over our lives. And I'm not going to get into any theological stuff or anything with biology and how it affects you on that. So many people talk about that. I'm just speaking from my own experience and my own heart right now, which is how I always aim to show up here on this podcast. But for me personally, the way I was showing up before, my heart behind continuing to be consistent in my stories and just posting on my feed as I felt called to, was so you could continue to connect with me as a person and as who I am, just as like a mom, so you could relate to me better. But honestly, I think you can do that better here on this podcast because Monday episodes, my aim moving forward on Monday episodes are to have interviews once my capacity and my schedule with my children allows for more of that better. I'll have more interviews coming on Mondays, but then also deep dive topics on things that I've equipped myself on knowledge with, things that moms want to know more about that I can do research on or that I've applied to my own life. So things in that realm. And Thursdays are truly just going to be whatever is on my heart to share, maybe because it's something I just walked through or something I'm walking through. I know this is coming out on Monday, but stuff like this will be kind of similar. So, I mean, you still will get to know me on that personal level. And I have, like I said, I have the text list, 205-809-7300. Just text 2 words, tough love. Don't send any emojis or it won't work. Just send 2 words, tough love, to 205-809-7300 so we can be connected there, because also those texts, those encouragements that go out weekly are, again, from the heart. They're in the moment. It's usually something I'm walking through right then and now. So those things, there are all so many other ways to be connected. And I just believed for so long that that was the best way. Social media was the best way to stay connected to people and for them to get to know the real you. And I'm not going to get into all the cliches and whatever and whatnot, but it just felt really misaligned for me to continue to show up there, because I think it's simply adding to any of those struggles for you. Again, like how it impacts your thoughts and your heart and your motivations and your time management and how you're comparing to others. Like you genuinely might be like, I don't compare myself, but it's happening on a subconscious level. I promise. Like it really does. And you do not realize, again, you do not realize the hold it has over you until you can distance yourself from it for like a week at least. When we got back from Outer Banks, I spent like 2 or 3 more days before I even opened the app back up, because I was just like, why? I don't even want to. I had this not disgust, but just almost a repulsion, maybe is the word. Because I was like, what? It does nothing for me. This does nothing for me. So why do I even want to open it back up? So that's my heart. That's kind of my thoughts right now on social media. Gosh, they felt real jumbled, but that's how my brain works sometimes. And that's kind of where it's at right now, because I don't know exactly how I want to serve on there moving forward. I'm a 1-woman team with this podcast and the Tough Love Mom Co right now. So, I would love to start a great little Instagram page that posts quotes from the episodes and, collaborates with the people I have interviews with on there. But I don't have the capacity for that, 1. And 2, I'm sitting in this place right now where I'm questioning, is it aligned for me to have something that does produce content on a platform where, yes, it could reach a lot more moms so they can hear about the podcast, because that's genuinely where I want to serve you. But is that even aligned to do? Gosh, I keep using that word. But is that even, am I even going to be coming from that same place of wanting to serve and connect with moms and bring them to the podcast at the end of the day? Am I going to be doing that if I'm, again, opening up an Instagram page that will have quotes and have all that fun stuff, which, yes, I'm sure it will be shareable and growable and all of those fun things, but I just have no desire for it. I just don't. It's kind of, and God works that way a lot in my life with things. He did that with alcohol for me. It's just kind of like, he just kind of cut off the desire. It was like one day, I was still drinking. The next day I was like, I just don't want this anymore. And he's done that in a lot of things in my life. And I think this is just another one of those, which I'm really grateful for. I can't really put a finger on exactly what it is that makes the change other than the Lord and a conviction. And if I can't see a clear path forward that does honor what he's telling me to do and what I feel aligns with my mission here and what's going to serve you best, yeah, might it reach more moms? Sure, but I care about you that's already here. That's who I care about most. And if it's going to pull you back onto an app, if me showing up there is going to consistently showing up there is going to pull you back onto an app just so I can gain more something, I don't see the point in that. So that's my honest thoughts right now on social media. Like I said, I don't have a clear path on how I'm going to navigate it moving forward. I just kind of post when there's something I want to share because I'm excited about something or whatnot. Like those will probably be, for now, the only reasons. What I think is so beautiful about my whole journey of all of this the past year is I hope it shows you, and this kind of speaks to an even larger concept and I think experience for people globally, is that we have the opportunity to grow. And I hope you can see that in me walking this walk with Instagram and all other social media apps right now. I hope you can see that and allow it in your own life and allow it in the lives of the people you love and maybe the people you follow. I hope the way I'm navigating this shows you, hey, I can give people grace when they're like doing one thing and then they decide to pivot and show up in a different way, because we should be doing that as humans. One, we should not be staying the same and just doing things that way because that's always the way we've done them, or doing things that way because we think that's the best way to do it. We're not open-minded to think other ways. We should be able to grow. And I hope I'm just letting you in right now into what that looks like. And I'm sure I'll give you another update down the road too. Maybe I'll change my mind and be able to have the capacity to do more on it, and my heart will shift and God will change it on how I'm going to serve people there. But right now it's closed off. There's like a wall, a door that got shut and was just like, nope, I don't need it right now. I have you. I get to talk to you every single week, twice a week on this podcast, which is so cool to me because I, for years, have like 7+ years, have loved podcasts. So the fact that I get to do one for you and speak into your life and encourage you that yes, you can do hard things, whether that's weight loss or changing your habits or taking on some kind of physical challenge or I don't know, motherhood day to day. Like you can do hard things and you don't realize that until you actually do them. You start believing in yourself once you do them. And that's what I'm here to do. And that's what this podcast is going to do moving forward. So I may or may not see you on social media. Like I said, the best way to stay connected is to click follow on this podcast right here and to make sure that you're on the text list. Like I said, it's free. You get encouragement on a weekly basis, and you're only going to hear about Starting Point School like 3 or 4 times a year. I will tell you it's opening back up in just a couple of weeks, like a week and a half or 2. So make sure that if you do want in on that you go to startingpointschool.co, because you'll hear more about it if you're on our email list. If you just enter your first name and email there, you'll get all the details on that. If you're on the text list, you'll probably hear about Starting Point School in a couple weeks, just a little forewarning, and that's the only time you'll hear about it until probably like closer till the fall or like October, November. So full transparency, because that's how I roll. I hope this encouraged you. I hope it made you think. If you walk away with anything today, I hope it's just, why do I do what I do in any area of life? And what can you like what one thing, what's one small thing? Maybe it's like what you eat mid-morning for a snack. And you're like, I know this isn't good for me. Maybe you need to evaluate, why do you do that? Like, why did you start doing that? And is it doing something for you still? Or, can you change? Can you pivot? Is there something that needs to change? Same thing. Maybe it's social media for you. Why do I show up here in this way? Like, what is the purpose of it? Am I doing it because I think I'm just supposed to be doing it to make something work? Or am I doing it because I've always done it this way and so I don't know how else to show up? I'll be totally honest. In navigating this right now, I'm in a very and I will tell you, just from experience doing this in multiple areas of my life over time, is when you do start to make that change, when you recognize, I don't really have a reason in doing this other than I've always done it this way, and so I'm going to make a change. Those first couple, depending on how big the habit is or how long it's been going, those first couple days and weeks, depending on, again, how deep-rooted this habit is, will feel kind of anxiety-inducing, for lack of a better term. Like, you'll question, maybe I should just go back to what I was doing. Or it's kind of like when you're pulling a rubber band before it snaps. It really wants to snap back into its original position. But if it breaks, then you're done. You broke the habit, right? But until you get to that point where it can actually break it, that rubber band can break in half, it wants to snap back to its original position. And that's what it's like when you change these really deep-rooted things for a short time or a long time. For me, I'm 3 weeks into this and I'm still feeling, maybe I should just go back to doing things the way I was doing it. But I just feel very convicted to not. And maybe I'm telling you this for accountability because I also harp on that a lot. And I actually have a lot of close friends that I'm using as accountability through this too, including my husband, because, he's had a front row seat to my whole journey with social media for years. And yeah, I still have those moments where I'm like, should I just go back to what I was doing? Should I maybe just start this other page for just the podcast so I can serve people there and then not feel obliged to share my life? I don't know. I don't know the answer, but I will tell you, I am going through that roller coaster feeling of, should I just go back to it? No, I feel convicted not to. So also, when you evaluate and decide and determine to change those habits, you will have those moments of, do I just go back to what I was doing? The answer is no, because it's your comfort zone. And that's why you feel that way. So I'm going to encourage you that I'm in the middle of trying to stay the course with that too. And we all have those crutches, those deep-rooted habits or practices in our lives that are just there because we've always done them. And I just encourage you to evaluate one of those. And if it needs to change it. And if it's social media, girl, I'm alongside this journey with you. And I do heavily encourage you to at least take a day a week, do it for a few months, and then give yourself like a week, a few months in, and just unplug and then really go, what is this doing for me? Because I think it'll do you a lot of good. It'll do your kids a lot of good. It'll do your marriage a lot of good if you can truly genuinely evaluate, what is this even doing for me? So there's my thoughts. Totally rambled on there. I hope it encouraged you. I hope you feel equipped to do something hard in your life with some habits here. Until next time, Mama, we'll be talking on the difference between a starting point and a stepping stone, what that looks like in your journey, especially as you move forward past like an initial habit change, this difficult one kind of that I'm facing right now, right? What's the difference between those two things? We'll be talking about that on Thursday. So until next time, get after it.
Before you go, thank you for spending this time with me on the Tough Love Mom podcast. If this episode encouraged you in any way, the number one way you can thank me is to leave a review letting me know how the show has impacted you. Then send this episode to another mom friend, or take a screenshot, post it on social media, and tag me so I can personally thank you for helping me on this journey to impact thousands of moms. I'm so grateful to be on this journey with you, sister. Until next time, get after it.